Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe from multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines and many other sectors. Darwin.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand the opening action on the D Street today at the beginning of a new F&O series. Now, when we look at a recap, the F&O series was actually a good one for both the Nifty and the Nifty Bank. While the Nifty gained about 600 points during the series, an underperforming Nifty Bank also rose about 1,000 points. Now, there has been pressure in the markets at the higher levels, no doubt, but yesterday's session was no different. We did see the markets had to end higher courtesy the MSCI flows that came out during the final 30 minutes of trade. The broader markets, which were the big pain point on Wednesday, also managed to end higher due to the MSCI balancing. So that was a bit of a positive that you saw yesterday. But despite a recovery of about 100 odd points from the day's low, the Nifty did not close above the 22,000 mark after having made a higher 22,060. Now, for the week, the index is down 0.8% and now needs to close above 22,212 to turn around the weekly losses and post gains. Now, apart from this, other than the recovery that we saw yesterday, the bulls are also taking hope from the strong third quarter GDP numbers that were reported after market hours. The 8.4% GDP figure that was higher than the 4.5% reported last year during the same period. And therefore, today's session will be important to track as the markets will look at those cues, positive global cues, as well as we will be looking at the auto sales figures as well. So a whole lot to track in today's trading action. And when we look at the pre-opening levels, we already have those. As the GIFT Nifty was indicating a positive start, you do see the Nifty opening positive 22,085, about a half odd percent of a move is what you see currently, 100 points of a move on the upside. So the pre-opening indication is of a positive start to the March F&O series as far as the Nifty is concerned. A whole host of stocks to be tracked as well. Remember, globally too, we have a lot of positive cues. Let's welcome our guests on the show. We have two special guests to discuss and to decode for us how the markets will shape up. Vineet Bolinchkar, Head of Research at Ventura Securities, joins in. Also joining us is Osho Krishan, Senior Research Analyst, Technicals Research at Angel One. Welcome to both of you and very good morning. Thank you so much for taking the time out for this discussion. First, Mr. Bolinchkar, to you. Looking at the kind of trade setup that we have. One, we have the domestic GDP figure that's much higher than anticipation, and it has blown out all the kind of expectations that were there. Secondly, we have global cues which are positive. So the Nasdaq closed at a record close, high levels again. Asian markets inching positive. Again, there are some data points to be tracked in the Chinese market as well. How do you look at the Indian markets now tracking this macro data?
So I think the number which has come in has taken the street entirely by surprise. It's extremely positive. And while we are building in 7.5% growth, in one quarter when you're exceedingly doing well, I think the bar raises just a bit. And, I wouldn't be surprised if 2 quarters down the line, we have better expectations on the GDP numbers. So that really tells you that the economy is firing on all cylinders. Allocations to India are also increasing along with that. And it may seem to us that, around these levels of 22,000, the market might be forming another level of consolidations. And once we break out of this high, I think the market could move to further higher levels. And this is in spite of the fact that I was anticipating that, the month of March would be weak, because typically we have a lot of tax selling that happens. And we've had a number of accidents happening in the markets with a lot of concerns, but all of them have been addressed very well. The flows are coming in, so it is talking about the demand that is there in the system. And we expect that the market would do of a time correction to a slightly drifting movement on the higher side before it again takes off.
Okay, let's also get Osho into the conversation. Osho, the beginning of a new FNO series. What is going to be the key points that you will be looking at from the Nifty and the Nifty Bank perspective?
Very good morning, Sakshi. Well, firstly, as we have seen that in the last two trading sessions, there has been a strong short formation that can be seen on the indices. But yesterday also, the bulls have taken a modest recovery and approximately 22,000 zone, which is a psychological mark. Nifty is able to hover within a very narrow range. But there has been a very positive development on the terms of GDP number. So this can be providing a strong thrust to our market. So I'm expecting that from here onwards, there can be some kind of bullish development that can be seen in the broader markets. Overall, the derivative data is very much scattered. As of now, the derivative data suggests some insignificant developments that has been seen till now. But I'm expecting that 21,850 and higher end 22,100 is the immediate zone for Nifty, and the biasness is quite bullish. So if there will be any kind of dip towards 21,900 or 850, that should be occurring well for the buyers, while one should stay cautious at the higher levels of 22,100 and 22,150, because that has been a very strong resistance in the near period. So until we witness a strong surpass above this zone on a closing basis and a follow-up buying, we do not see a followed up continuation in the bullish trend. But till now, we are expecting a consolidation, that too with a bullish undertone. So one should keep eyes on selected index heavyweight companies and some of the mid cap and small cap companies which can perform well. As you have mentioned that from today onwards there will be auto numbers, so auto sectors will be in focus. Secondly, because of the GDP data, I am expecting that banking should again get some traction. But looking at the bank Nifty index as a whole, it is not performing as of now. But again, 46,200 and 46,300 is the zone which I am expecting as the resistance. And once it surpasses the zone of 46,300, then from there onwards we can see a follow-up buying in the bank Nifty. So overall, the views are mixed, and one should stay focused on the stock specific front based on the news with bullish bias.
Okay. And let's discuss the key stock ideas now that both of you will be talking about. So, Vineet, starting with you, two stock ideas that you are looking at now that investors can keep on their radar.
Definitely, I think there's a lot of traction around Adani Enterprises. We think
Yes.
that that stock is going to keep moving up. Yesterday also, it was one of the stocks which recovered the most. And along with this, I think SBI is another stock which I will keep tracking, because we believe that SBI in the banking space is one of the cheapest stocks. So we are going to see flows come into both these stocks, and would like to recommend both.
Okay. Any kind of an upside that you can mention that you're looking at over the short or to medium period?
So I think so we are generally looking at around 950 to 1,000 bucks in the next 12 months on this stock of SBI,
Okay.
and
Okay.
Adani Enterprises can easily do about 3,700, 3,800 in the next 6 months.
Okay. 3,800 coming in on Adani Enterprises, and SBI may be looking at 1,000 levels, a four-digit number expectation on SBI as well. So those are the two stock ideas by Vineet Pulinchkar. Osho, which are the two stock ideas that you'll be looking at for today?
See, firstly, there is a FMCG counter. Tata Consumer is looking very attractive. We have seen a strong consolidation breakout in Tata Consumer. Yesterday also it has plunged a bit, but has again recouped from the losses and closed at a very decent higher level. So I'm expecting that the continuation should be seen in Tata Consumer. The buying range stands around the zone of 1180 to 1200 odd levels, because in the pre-market we are expecting a 1% of higher opening. So one should wait for a kind of dip of approximately 10 points. So 1190 should be the range where one should try to accumulate this counter. On the lower end, 1160 should be kept as the stop loss. And on the higher front, 1240 to 1250 should be seen as the immediate target. The second counter, which is looking bullish, is from the auto ancillary. Motherson is looking very positive. It has closed nearly 119, but the buying range is somewhere around 117 to 118. So one should again wait for some kind of correction, profit booking in this counter. Approximately 1.5 to 2 rupees kind of a dip can be seen as a very positive development, and one should definitely try to accumulate it, keeping a stop loss of 113, and the target that I'm expecting is 125. So these are the technical picks that I will be recommending for now. But again, I am expecting a very strong move in the banking counter. So if there will be any in between moves that can be tracked in banking, specifically PSU banks, so even I can consider those movement as a technical pick also.
Okay, got that. So that's Tata Consumer and Samvardhan Motherson. This is the fourth vote of positive, confidence that you see for Samvardhan on our channel this entire week that we have been talking about. So, and Tata Consumer is the FMCG counter that Osho is betting big on. Since we were talking about the auto sales, they've also started to trickle in already. So Bajaj Auto's total sales have shown an uptick of 24% with the unit sales of 3.46 lakh units this time around. This is for February month that we have got to know for Bajaj Auto. And of course, the exports have also increased 10% odd to 1.4 lakh units. And this is on a year on year basis that the uptick has been seen. Domestic sales have grown 35% to 2.06 lakh units. That's Bajaj Auto. It's already half odd percent higher in the pre-opening trade. Vinny, to you, and then to Osho as well. On Bajaj Auto particularly, what is your sense? Of course, the stock has been hovering at higher highs and touching fresh record highs over the last 1 month or so. A very strong move has been seen, and of course the prices will get adjusted, and there was also a talk of a buyback as well. How would you really look at Bajaj Auto from a long term perspective?
So Bajaj Auto has really moved when two-wheeler space is one of the strong focus areas for us, and we expect this trend to play out over the next couple of years. Strong growth numbers coming in. But we prefer TVS Motors over Bajaj Auto. We think that Bajaj Auto has done very well in the near term, and we expect TVS Motors to perform much better from the current levels.
Okay, so you prefer TVS Motors with respect to or in comparison to Bajaj Auto as of now. Osho, what about you? Bajaj Auto, how would you look at the sales figures and trade now, the counter?
See, overall, Bajaj Auto, as already have been mentioned, that it has already seen a very strong surge in the near period, and from last 3 days there has been some kind of profit booking that can be seen. But on technical front, I am expecting more room on the downside. Approximately 7750, 7800 is the zone where one can expect to accumulate this counter on the lower end. But still, the primary trend is very positive. It is maintaining the higher highs, higher lows kind of a traction. So one should definitely try to gauge this counter on any kind of dip towards the 7750 to 7800 odd zone. On the higher end, we are having a very stiff resistance of 8400. So that should be acting as the target zone, and one should stay light, or one should take some profit out from their portfolio around the zone of 8400. The time we witness a breakthrough above 8450 odd levels, then one should even again try to gauge momentum by accumulating fresh positions in Bajaj Auto. But for now, 7800 and 8400 is the range with buy on dip and sell on rise approach for Bajaj Auto.
Okay. Apart from Bajaj Auto, Escorts Kubota sales have also come in. So I'll quickly tell them before the markets hit open. So the total sales are down 17% at 6,481 units. That's for February auto sales for Escorts Kubota. The total sales have slipped. That is 17% on a year-on-year basis for this one. And the tractor sales is something that have been hit for Escorts Kubota. And this has been, of course, an impact due to the continuing impact of the uneven monsoons that we have been witnessing in this space as of now. So the sales have come down from 7811 units to 6481 units as of February. So those are the points that are coming in for Escorts Kubota. Osho, would you look at the stock and tell us what would you look at the counter with?
See, this counter is hovering in a corrective phase. It's not very positive for the timing, but the only development that can be seen that it is hovering near the zone of 200-day SMA. So this historically has seen a very strong support zone. So I'm expecting 2800 odd level should be acting as a support zone for this counter, and until it triggers below this level, we should not be having a bearish view in this counter. On the higher end, 2950 is the zone above which we can expect some kind of bullish movement in for escorts.
Okay, we will just hope for the market to hit open any moment now. And before we go there, a lot of other stocks that we will be keeping an eye out into, a lot of stocks that are in the news flow in trade today. Paytm will be something that we will be watching out now that there are reports coming in that it's distancing itself completely with Paytm's Payments Bank. And they have agreed to discontinue various intercompany agreements as well. So okay, we have the opening rates now 22,119 for the Nifty right now, and Paytm is opening 3.5% higher. 417 is what you look at on the Paytm counter currently. The Nifty has opened above 22,000, so that's a bit positive, half a percent gains coming in. The broader markets also very important to track that 0.7% uptick on the mid cap 100 index, and we're also looking at the Nifty Bank that's opening 0.6% higher. The IT index is opening 0.4% higher. So you have the major index Nifty, you have the small cap 100 index is a percent higher. A smart recovery really taking place after those 2 days of blow that we did see in the broader markets. That's coming back. Even the public sector enterprises index, the Nifty CPSE, that's up by 0.9%. A strong move coming in on that one as well. 22,120 for the Nifty right now, half a percent gains even for the Sensex. When we talk about the advanced decline ratio, 1334 shares on the advancing side versus just 199 stocks on the declining side on the NSE. A very strong move. PSU banks up by over a percent. A strong move coming in on the PSU banking index as well, along with the PSU stocks. The auto index, let's look at that one. That's opening 1.2% higher. 1.5% move on the upside for the metals index as well. The FMCG index is opening higher as well. The capital goods index is opening a percent higher. A lot of sectors really in the buzzing zone. Power sector is 1.5% higher. The oil and gas space is 1.5% higher. The realty space is 0.6% up in trade. Financial services 0.8%. A lot of sectors that are buzzing with positivity right now. I think the only red that I see is in the pharma index that's 0.1% lower in trade. Which are the stocks that are gaining ground? Tata Steel, Hindalco, BPCL, over 2% higher. These are the top Nifty gainers. Tata Motors, 1.5% higher. Hero MotoCorp, you have ONGC. These are the top stocks that are moving positively. On the downside, you have Apollo Hospitals that's dragging 2% down, Sun Pharma, Nestle. So pharma and FMCG spaces, those are the ones that are the weaker links in the morning trading action as of now. But a lot of stocks, I think barring just about 5 stocks on the Nifty, the rest of the stocks that are all up and about. And you have these metal counters, you have oil and gas, you have autos and L&T, these kind of stocks that are all buzzing in trade. So you have steel, you have autos, you have oil and gas, you have construction. You also have some IT names like Wipro is moving up a percent. Then you also have, of course, auto stocks like Maruti, M&M. They're all buzzing in trade. SBI, let's talk about that one. That's the one that's opened positively again. Strong move for that. Tata Consumer, mentioned by Osho, that also stock has moved up. 1201 can be seen on this one as well. The big stock gains that are coming in from the oil and gas space and the metal spaces in Hindalco and GAIL. That's a strong move coming in on these particular stocks. Osho, to you, how do you see the opening and any particular stocks that you've caught?
As expected, the opening has been quite robust for our markets, and many of the counters have started moving on the positive end. So from here onwards, the PSU banks will kind of have some bullish traction in them, followed by metals. In metals, National Aluminium is looking very positive. It has been in the cycles of correction from past 4 days, but yesterday it has taken support from 21-day exponential moving average and has tried to have some kind of resurgence or rebound that can be seen. So today we are expecting that metal counters, Hind Copper and National Aluminium, are having a good traction. So these two should be considered for a bullish bet. And in PSU banks, Canara Bank is looking very positive. If I have to say, it has the same kind of a format from where it has taken support from approximately 21-day exponential moving average, has opened quite higher with a gap up of approximately 1.2%, but it is looking positive from a positional point of view. 565, 570 should be the range where one should accumulate it. On the lower end, 550 is the very strong support zone, and on the higher end, 590, 95 can be seen as the target in Canara Bank.
Okay, fair enough. Vineet, now to you. Another very big important news that came in just in the dying hours of trade yesterday was the cabinet's approval to the semiconductor plants, investment of 1.2 trillion worth of investments in three semiconductor plants of Tata Group as well. That was something that is very, very important. And I'm looking at stocks like CG Power, Tube Investments already reacting to such news flow as well. How would you really look at this news flow? Which are the top stocks that you think are going to be key beneficiaries?
I think Tata Power, CG Power are two stocks which immediately come to mind, which would definitely benefit from this, uh, announcements. And it bodes very well for our economy because, we are a very large importing economy as far as semiconductor chips are concerned. And this is only going to accelerate as digital becomes a bigger part of our life. So these investments are in the right direction, well focused, and these companies should really, really do.
Okay, Tata Power and CG Power, those are the key stocks that you're looking at. On CG Power, can you give us your technical view, Osho, and tell us, the sharp move should be track this one, 7 to 8% move on the upside and right in the opening today?
For
Osho?
CG Power,
Yes.
yes, there has been a very significant move, and it has given a weekly breakout on the charts approximately around the zone of 468, 469 levels. But one should definitely wait for the sustenance at around the same levels. Once it sustains above the zone of 468, 469, then from here onwards we can see a very strong traction in the coming period. Approximately 500 should be the target that one can see in the recent period on positional basis, and even trend has been very bullish in this counter, and with the breakout I am expecting 500 just is the first target for this counter. It has the potential even to surge higher towards the zone of 520 on a positional basis from short to medium term time frame. Overall the counter is very much positive. One should just wait for a proper risk reward movement, and once we get a risk reward movement, or let's say by day end if it sustains above the same zone also, then one can definitely go long in this counter.
Okay, got that. Something is very interesting. Zomato is again at a fresh high. Let's look at that stock. 2.8% higher, 170 for this one. Vineet, let me get your views on Zomato versus Paytm from the new age stocks. How are you looking at both of these stocks now?
So there's no comparison. Zomato is our top pick, and it's just a market dominant player which is listed in a dual entity, and which in a world which is moving increasingly towards convenience. So I think Zomato have perfected their model, and it's all about execution and expansion in geographies, which is playing out. They've added the different segments also have been added. Blinkit is also firing on four cylinders. So we think that this stock can do really well, steady compounding story going out ahead over the next few years.
Okay. Okay. On technical charts, would you want to take a comment on Zomato? Osho, where is the stock headed after this fresh high?
See, Zomato, I think I already have covered this counter previously, that it has given a very strong rounding formation breakout around the zone of 160. And from there onwards, we can expect a very decent up move because it has seen a follow-up buying above 160 odd levels from the past 3 consecutive weeks. So I'm expecting that it has the potential to head towards the zone of 200 on a medium-term time frame, not very aggressive on the targets, but on in the on the positional front, I am expecting 175 to 178. That should be acting as the first resistance for Zomato. Again, if there is any kind of dip towards 160, that should be auguring well for the buyers. So there is a bullish biasness in this counter, but one should have a very pragmatic approach around. They should also keep booking their profits around the zone of 175, 180 odd levels. And even if it comes below 165, 160 odd levels, then one should even accumulate it for a longer duration for 200 kind of a time.
Okay, got that. Let's talk about a few brokerage houses reports and then take Vineet's view there. Specifically on the oil marketing companies, Vineet, we have seen a huge re-rating really take place over the last few months odd or so. But HSBC believes that still there is room, and they have, put a buy rating across all IOC, BPCL, and HPCL. They've also raised the target for IOC to 185, for BPCL to 860, for HPCL to 630. And they do believe that, the near term expect range bound oil prices could support profitability, and in the medium term, they could benefit from refinery upgrade. What is your own sense of the oil marketing companies and the way they have moved up? And is it too late now to take an entry into these stocks?
We definitely think that BPCL is a strong candidate for re-rating. But the entire pack will continue to do well because their entire focus is now onto getting more green, uh, and they are also very strong suppliers to the global markets, primarily because of the Ukraine-Russia crisis. So we expect that refining spreads will remain firm. They will get good margin for their products, and their forays into green energy expansion will also be taken well by the market. So we expect them to continue to do well.
Okay, got that. Anything on technical charts that you find positive, Osho, from these three oil marketing companies, or do you still think that it's better to go with perhaps the upstream companies in the oil and gas segments?
Currently looking at HPCL or BPCL, then these two counters are currently into corrective phase. They have seen a very strong up move in the recent period, but again, after the vertical rally, there is some kind of correction that can be seen. So yes, today there has been a strong momentum looking at the opening of these counters, but overall the sentiments remain sidelines. I expect some kind of further correction in both the counters. For HPCL, I am expecting near about 500, 480 odd levels to be seen on the charts. So I'm not very much bullish in these counters, but yes, some kind of dip or some kind of correction should be considered healthy for a longer period. If there can be some kind of correction and it stays near the lows it consolidates near the lows, then that should be considered healthy for a longer duration in these counters. So one should stay sidelines, have a view on the broader market because those have the potential to outperform these counters.
Okay. The other brokerage house report that I read today was on the hospitals front, and CLSA came out with a report on the fact that the Supreme Court has directed standardization of rates, in case there are steps that are not taken, in a short period of time. Is it negative for private hospitals? This was a space that was really buzzing, and, stocks like Apollo Hospitals were definitely coming on the top radar of a lot of analysts and investors as well. But do you think something like this, if it take place, will definitely hit the margins of the private hospitals?
See, these costs were running ahead of affordability, and all these stocks. To be very honest, we were finding them very expensive on all our financial models that we built. So we were
Hmm.
not really getting gung ho about this segment. Now that this kind of ruling has come, the Modi government will have to respond with some kind of solution which will be palatable both to the affordable to the lower classes as well as to the incumbents. So I believe that there will be a tapering off of this segment, but you need not look at it extremely negatively, as we have seen in the case of the pharma industry. A few years back when the domestic drug prices were regulated with an inflation kind of bent. So I think some kind of policy decision would be initiated around that, and uh, that's how we see. But definitely, these stocks are slightly on the higher side, and a correction is warranted in this companies.
Okay, fair enough. Osho, your take on the hospital stocks? How would you really look at these stocks?
Basically, these kind of corrections are considered very positive from technical point of view because if I have to tell the chart of Apollo Hospital, then Apollo Hospital have seen a very strong and vertical rally from the zone of nearly 4,800 levels towards 6,800 odd levels. So, in terms of momentum, the counter has already surged over 2,000 points in the short span of 3 months. So, from here onwards, if there is any kind of dip that can be seen or that should be considered healthy, But from technical point of view, I am expecting 5600 to be seen as the immediate target on the lower end. Once it tests the zone of 5600, that will be providing a very strong accumulation zone for the investor. So these kind of cycles are there on major of the company. So these should be considered healthy, and one should keep these companies in their watch list for accumulation from a good rate of return in these counters. So I'm expecting that any dip towards 5600 zone for Apollo Hospital should be considered healthy, and one should definitely accumulate it for a medium to longer term perspective.
Okay. On that note, we'll thank Vineet for being with us on this very special edition and sharing all the ideas and strategies and stocks that you always have. And we will continue to keep an eye out on Adani Enterprises and SBI, your two stock ideas that you shared right in the beginning of the show. And we'll hope to catch you very soon again to discuss more about markets. Many thanks for being with us. And viewers, what we'll do is we'll take a very short break right here. But on the other side, Osho will continue to be with us to discuss more stock ideas that are buzzing in this trading action. So stay with us.
Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe from multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines, and many other sectors.
Welcome back. You're watching Market Today on Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra and I'm in conversation with Osho Krishan, and he's going to be helping us really navigate through the markets 15 minutes out. And the good part is that we are still holding on to the positive move that we saw right in the opening trading action. A large part of the markets are in the positive zone right now, 21,982 currently. However, for the Nifty, and when we talk about the various sectors, 22,116 right now for the Nifty. And when we look at the top movers on the Nifty, you have BPCL, ONGC, Tata Steel, Tata Motors, and Hindalco as the major gainers. On the flip side, you have Apollo Hospital, Sun Pharma, Infosys, HCL Tech, and Britannia as the losers. So the defensives are actually taking a backseat today, be it the pharma and the healthcare stocks, be it the IT stocks, or be it also the FMCG stocks as well at this point in time. But what's doing well is the commodity-oriented stocks like metals and oil and gas at this point in time. Let's also look at this one stock, Hindalco, that's on the top radar of, again, brokerage houses. CLSA has upgraded the stock to buy with a target price of 635. And they do believe that after a sharp correction, the correction and the concern is overdone. And now they do believe that the stock is on an upside. How would you really look at Hindalco, Osho? And what do the technical charts really tell you about an investor who may be looking at it from a short to medium term perspective? Hindalco, is that a stock that you'd like to track?
Yes, looking at the overall metal space, the metal counters are gaining traction in today's session. Even coming for Hindalco, Hindalco has seen a very steep correction from the zone of 610, and it has plunged towards the 200-day SMA, which lies somewhere around 485 to 490 odd levels. So I was expecting that 490 should be tested in this counter, but looking at the reversal in the metal space and the traction that one can see in metal space, from here onwards also one can expect a decent up rally in Hindalco. So for fresh accumulation also, one can definitely take a bet, keeping 490 as a very strict stop loss. On the higher end, although I'm not very much positive, because very much bullish, because overall there is a very strong bearish gap which is approximately in the zone of 540 to 580 odd levels. So until it fulfills the whole bearish gap, I'm expecting that the rises can be seen for profit booking for those who are accumulating accumulating this counter at recent levels. So on the higher end, 540 should be seen as the first target, followed by 565. So these two are the targets on the higher end. On the lower end, 490 is a very strong support zone. So that can be seen as a stop loss for the traders that are going to take trade in Hindalco for the time being.
Okay, and Hindalco has actually pulled up across the board. There is buying happening in the entire metal story, be it Tata Steel, JSW Steel, NMDC. You have a whole host of stocks that are moving up in trade after Hindalco's move as well. So the metals pack is clearly in the shining zone today. What's also moving is the entire PSU stocks. So, be it the oil and gas stocks like IOC, ONGC, GAIL. We've already discussed some of the oil marketing companies. You also have BEL, EIL, RCF, and the like that are moving in trade. So the PSU stocks are coming back into flavor. Also wanted to understand from you, do you think that PSU stocks after the recent correction are again attractive to look at, and any particular PSU stocks that you will be tracking after this recent correction?
Overall, the trend for PSU counters are still bullish. There has been some time-wise correction in major of the PSU companies like SBI, Canara Bank, Bank of Baroda. So all these counters are still having very positive, still maintaining their positive trajectory. And as I have mentioned that from here onwards, as the financial of the country is looking positive, so one can definitely keep their bets in PSU sectors. Canara Bank is looking more lucrative to me at current levels. Even the technical parameters have quietly came down or cooled off from the higher zone. So still it is at a comfortable zone. So Canara Bank has the potential to test the zone of 590 to 600 odd levels in a short-term period. But for a longer duration, yes, undoubtedly, I am expecting a target of approximately 640 for Canara Bank. Even SBI is looking very positive, but it is advisable to accumulate it in a staggered manner because 720 was the zone which I was expecting that it should come down to have a very cool off on the technical parameters. But as we are witnessing some kind of reversal, so for short term period, 770 or 765 can be seen as the resistance. On the lower end, 735 can be seen as the support. So this is the range for SBI for shorter duration. For longer duration, 720 on the lower end and 800 on the higher.
Okay, fair enough. So those are the PSU stocks that you can continue to track even going forward from here. And the metal pack is clearly shining. Even now, counters like SAIL, for example, that's up 5.5% in trade. So it is the metals pack that's gaining all the traction in today's trading session. I also have Hindustan Zinc, Hindustan Copper, all of them moving up in trade. In fact, Kalyani Steel is also up by 4 odd percent, and SAIL is the counter that's been really looking at sharp moves coming in on this one as well. So some of those PSU metal pack stocks that are again, looking at some positive moves. So oil and gas and metals, these are the two buzzing spaces, and we will continue to revisit them if we see a very smart move right there. Let's look at some of the stocks that are moving up in the mid cap space. So you have MPS Limited, that's up 7.3%, Jain Irrigation 5.5% higher. You have PVP Ventures, that's moved up 4.5%. Then you have Electrocast, that's moved up 4.5%. Rico Auto, that's been on the move for the last few trading sessions, and again it's up by 4%. Maharashtra Seamless, that's up by 4% as well. So the mid cap stocks are also coming back into flavor as well. Osho, would you have any mid cap specific stocks that you may be tracking?
From insurance company, I have ICICI Prudential, which is expecting a very strong breakout. So I expect us because it has witnessed a sloping trend line breakout in yesterday trading session. So I'm expecting that a follow-up session is required. And with the positive opening, it has given a first signal that from here onwards, one can definitely see a reversal in this counter. So one should definitely keep this counter in their watch list or even can accumulate it because from risk and reward point of view, it is at a very positive or attractive levels. 535, 540 is the zone where one should try to accumulate. On the lower end, 520 is a very strong support zone. If it goes below 520, then again it will be entering into a corrective phase. So 520 should be kept as a very strong support zone or a stop loss. On the higher end from here onwards, as I am expecting a reversal, so first target is near about 560, but I am expecting a very strong target it to reach the recent highs of nearly 600 in the coming period. So this is the counter that I am having a bullish view with a proper risk and reward formation for short to medium term time frame.
Okay, since we're talking about the insurance space, let's again track LIC. Weeks back when this stock was just on a one-way up move, it touched fresh record high levels after coming back above the issue price for the very first time, touched an all-time high of 1175. It's been consolidating. If we look at the move in the last 1 week or so, there has been only negative move of 3-4%, but not any substantial move on the upside. What's really happening on LIC? How would you look at this stock?
See, overall, this counter have seen a very tremendous up rally from the zone of 650 odd levels towards near about 1200 odd levels. So again, from a technical point of view, the technical parameters were already on a overbought position. So for a cool off, we can expect a time-wise correction, because for the time being, we are not witnessing a strong price-wise correction in this counter. If there has been a price-wise correction, then 940 to 920 should be the target on the lower end, but it is consolidating in a very narrow zone of approximately 1020 on the lower end and 1060 on the higher end. So this is the current consolidation zone. So for short-term traders, they can accumulate the counter keeping a stop loss of 1020 and can book profits around 1060 odd levels. But from medium term or investment perspective, this counter has seen a very strong movement, and one can definitely expect a higher targets in the coming future. Even if there is any kind of dip towards 940, that should be seen as a very strong buy or accumulation zone for this company for a medium term time frame. So I will be having a very bullish bet in LIC and expecting initially a target of 1060 for a short term trader, but definitely 1200, even 1400 targets for a higher or a longer duration.
Okay, fair enough. So that's the view coming in on LIC. Let's discuss one stock from our stocks to watch list today, and that is Suven Pharmaceuticals, which has signed a definitive agreement with Cohance Life Sciences to merge their businesses, and they believe this will further strengthen their position in the contract development and manufacturing organization space, that is the CDMO space. This news flow really led for the stock to move up very, very sharply. It's now up in double digits, 11.5% higher for Suven Pharmaceuticals. It's now changed a digit as well. It's now over 700 one rupees is what we can see on this one. Also to you, Suven Pharma, if you track this stock, if we look at the move on this stock over the last 6 months, it's gone up 36%. In the last 1 year, the stock is up by 47%. And of course, when we look at the 52-week high levels, they are at 768. So it's now finally moving towards those levels. How do you see this news flow for Suven Life Sciences? Would you track the stock after a very strong up move because of this news flow?
See, this news flow has given a very strong traction in this counter. And if I'll be talking about the technical developments, then I can definitely see an inverted head and shoulder pattern in Suven Pharma. So I am expecting that from here on, 680 is the zone where it has given a breakout. And obviously, all the parameters has been checked. There has been a strong volume that can be seen, and it has even researched from a very strong support base. Because if I have seen the weekly chart of this counter, then 600, 620 odd levels is a very strong support zone for this company. So I'm expecting that 680 is the breakout zone, and from here onwards a follow-up buying can be seen. Looking at the formation that it has created, the target of 770, 780 can be seen in the coming period. So one should definitely bet on this counter, keeping a strict stop loss of 625 on the higher end. 770, 780 is the target for short term period, and definitely looking at the overall technical parameters, I am expecting a very strong movement in this count.
Okay, got that. Let's look at the markets now. They're roaring higher. Out of the 50 stocks on the Nifty, 39 stocks are in the green. And now you can see 558 point kind of a move on the Sensex as well. A very strong move really coming in into the markets. The Nifty Bank is up 1% higher. 12 stocks of the Nifty Bank, all of them are into the green. And a very, very strong move can be seen on this one. Of course, sectorally also, the action is pretty positive. If I look at the sectors in which there are moves, very, very strong moves coming in, you have all the sectors barring, say, just the pharma stocks and the healthcare stocks. Rest of the sectors are all positive. Very strong move coming in on oil and gas, 2% higher. Private banks, PSU banks, 1% up. Metals up 2%. You also have autos that are up by 1.2%. Nifty Bank, of course, 1% higher in trade. That's the kind of move that you're looking at into the markets. Metals also, metals, PSU banks, oil and gas. You have these particular sectors that are buzzing in action today, and a very, very strong move. Now you have the Nifty at 22,165. It's at the day's high. Remember, half an hour away from the day's opening, and you do have the markets that are soaring very, very high. Let's quickly look at which are the top stocks that are contributing to this gain on the Nifty. The stock that is contributing most to the Nifty gains is L&T. Again, there is a news flow on this one, and I will take Osho's view on this one as well. Meanwhile, Osho can check the charts for this one. L&T has commissioned its first domestically manufactured electrolyzer at the green hydrogen plant in Hazira, Gujarat. That's a positive news that led the stock to move up 2.5% in trade, and it's now contributing 25 points to the Nifty move. Then you also have ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank. Then you also have Reliance Industries, then Axis Bank and ITC, and also Tata Motors and Tata Steel. These are the top stocks that are contributing to the gains on the Nifty. 28 points by L&T, 24 points being contributed by ICICI Bank. That's 1.5% higher. HDFC Bank is contributing 17 points. Reliance is contributing about 10 points. Axis Bank is contributing about 8 points. And ITC about 7.8 points as well. And the Tata Motors and Tata Steel stocks also contributing about 7 points each as well. So that's where the gains are really coming in on. Osho, to you on L&T, what would you really say?
For L&T, it is entering the bearish gap, because I can see on 31st of January it has seen a gap down opening, and the opening was approximately on the zone of 35 38 odd level. So 35.40 is the zone where it can see some kind of resistance. So here there can be two things that we have to be very cautious about. First, L&T is entering into a bearish gap, which is not a very positive development on the technical chart. Nifty is hovering around the resistance zone. So from here onwards, there can be some kind of cool off for intraday. I'm not saying that on a positional basis it is looking weak. On a positional basis, it still has the potential to reach the zone of 3600. But for intraday, some kind of cool off can be seen in L&T, and even the repercussions can be seen on Nifty also. So one should not be very much bullish for intraday. Any dip towards the zone of 3500 or even 3480 should be acting as a very strong support zone, and that can be seen as a accumulation zone for L&T. On the higher end, again 3580 to 3600 can be seen as the first target for short-term perspective.
Okay, so that's the view that's coming in on L&T. That's what you can track as well. Let's look at the other stocks that are buzzing. Remember, it's the power space that's also gaining some traction. That you also have stocks like Inox Wind that are in the positive zone. Inox Industries is also up 5.5% odd. Those are the kind of stocks that are moving up. You also had Landmark Cars, 6.5% higher for this one among the buzzing stocks that I could spot. CMS Info Systems, that's the one that's up 6.5% as well. Another stock that we were watching out for in the stocks to watch list. And there you have it. The stock is really up in trade. You have Pesalo Digital that has been on an upward trajectory. You have Moil again from the metals pack that's moving up about 5%. These are the particular stocks that are really buzzing in action today. Again, the oil and gas stocks like Oil India, 6.5% higher in trade, a very strong move coming in on these particular stocks. Anything from this list of stocks that I mentioned, Osho, that clicks your attention?
CMS Info is looking very positive. The technical parameters are limited, but looking at the overall sentiment, overall development, I can definitely see that it is on the verge of breakout. Near about 400 is the zone where we can witness a strong breakout. And even looking at the previous 5 day of developments, strong volumes has been seen in this counter. So from here onwards, if it sustains above the zone of 400 and 405, then in the coming period we can definitely see a very strong move. Immediate basis 415 and 18 should be seen as the immediate target, but even it has the potential, because looking at the overall traction it has gained, it is from the zone of nearly 360. So near about 40 points of up move can be seen in this counter. 440 should be the final target in the short term period, and again we need to review once it reaches the zone of 420 followed by 440 odd levels.
Okay, followed by 440 odd levels. Those are the kind of levels that you can look for in CMS Infosystems, and the stock is gaining traction because the promoter has hiked the stake over here. Executive Vice Chairman and CEO Rajiv Kaul has increased his stake to 6.2% from 2.6% earlier. Very strong spike is what you have seen the stock really reacting to as of now as well. On the other hand, Moil that I was mentioning, that's hiked the prices of ferro grades with manganese content now below 44% from by 5% from March 1 as well. So some price ticks really helping that stock inch higher in trade. Do you track this stock? This is rarely a talked about stock. When we talk about the kind of moves that we've been tracking over the last 6 months, or hardly we've discussed this stock. Do you think this news flow can actually bring in some more moves on this one?
Definitely, if I have to tell about the technical developments, then I can definitely witness a positive crossover on the technical parameters, that too near about the oversold region. So from here onwards, I can expect a good move in this counter. Higher levels is approximately 300 odd levels. On the lower end, yesterday's low, which was approximately 259 odd levels, should be acting as the support zone. So in the coming period, it's not very aggressive target. Today already has moved near about 5%. So if there is any kind of dip towards the zone of 272, 275, that should be agreeing well to accumulate this counter for a higher target of 300. That is the first resistance. Once it is able to sustain above or have a follow-up buying above 300 zone, then it can surge towards the zone of 340 on a positional basis. So one can definitely look to buy this counter, keeping a strict stop loss of 259.
Fair enough. All right, we are inching closer to winding down this edition as well. Osho, anything else that you're looking at into the markets that I have not maybe checked with you? Something that looks positive and warrants investors' attention?
MCX is looking very positive. If I have to say about the technical development on MCX, it was consolidating for 2 weeks above the 21-day exponential moving average. Today, it has witnessed a consolidation breakout, approximately 2% up at current levels. But from here onwards, I can definitely expect a target of 39.50 in the short run. So I am very much bullish in this counter, expecting a decent run for short-term period. But once it reaches the target of 39.50, then still it has the room to go towards the zone of 4,000 in the coming period. While on the lower end, stop loss is suggested around the zone of 36.50, which is a very strong support zone for MCX.
Okay, got that. Let's also check the FNO movers at this point in time. You have sales March futures that's up by 5% at 129. You have Bales March futures, BHEL's futures that are up by 3.3% at 236. You have Tata Steel's March futures that's up by 2.8% at 145.9. Then you have IOC, REC, JSPL, all of them upwards of 2.5%. You also have BPCL, PFC, JSW Steel that's moving up in trade. So the entire FNO pack is, surrounded with stocks from the metals and the oil and gas space stocks as well. Anything from the FNO basket that attracts your attention at this point, Osho?
From FNO, I'm expecting a decent move. It's not very aggressive, but Laurus Lab is looking very positive to me as of now. It has gained traction in the recent period, so I'm expecting that it should continue the momentum in the coming period. 425, 428 is the immediate target that I can expect in this counter. On the lower end, 390 should be kept as the stop loss. So this is one of the counter which is gaining traction, and it is on the verge of giving a consolidation breakout. So one should definitely try to gauge the momentum in the coming period. 425 should be the target for short-term duration.
Okay, fair enough. Let's again revisit the markets at this stage then. A very strong move coming in. Nifty Bank up 1% at 46,592. Then you also have the Nifty at the day's high level as well. 22,170 can be seen on this one. You have the Sensex also moving higher in trade at this point in time, and a very strong move coming across the sectors. So the Sensex is now at 73,083. That's 0.8% higher in trade as well. And along with it, of course, it's the metals pack, the oil and gas pack, that are clearly in the limelight in today's trading session as well. With that, Osho, we will thank you. And, thanks for being with us on the show and discussing all those stock ideas that you have discussed with us on Market Today. And in fact, we will continue to revisit the stocks that you mentioned, Tata Consumer Products and Samvardhan Motherson. And we will continue to track this during the trading session. And next time when we visit, we hope that your targets are already achieved as well. Many thanks. It's a pleasure to host you on Business Today Television, as is always. All right, let's look at the markets again. 0.8% of a very strong move on the Nifty, 22,167. You also have the Nifty Bank that's hovering about a percent higher, 447 points higher in trade. A very strong move across the sectors as well. So it's not just the Nifty 50. The Nifty Next 50 is up by 0.7%. Then you also have the mid caps that are up 0.7%. Small caps up by 0.7% as well. The India VIX has slipped below the 16 levels, and that is where the comfort is really coming in. With the F&O volatility now behind us, we are at the beginning of a new series, and you do see comfortable levels as far as the India VIX for the volatility index is also concerned. The Nifty Bank in the positive zone today, a percent higher in trade, led by support from private banks like ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, Axis Bank, and of course, the PSU banks like SBI also moving in tow. Then you have financial services that's also moved up a percent higher in trade. You have the metal space that's completely shining in trade. We did discuss a whole host of stocks like Hindalco, SAIL, MOIL, for example, Nalco. Those are the particular stocks that we've really discussed in trade today. Apart from this, the oil and gas space in its entirety is coming back into flavor, 2% higher, the strong moving sectoral index today. So be it the upstream majors, we've discussed ONGC, Oil India, Reliance Industries. On the downstream majors, we've discussed IOC, BPCL, HPCL as well. Of course, there is an impact of the windfall tax gains that can be seen on this entire space as well. Apart from this, you also have the move that you can track on some of the sectors like, say, the realty space, which is slightly up in trade. You have the IT pack, FMCG pack, that's up in trade. What's not doing well today is the pharma and the healthcare space, and that's the one that is seeing some declines. But within that space also, we've discussed several stocks that are on the winning zone on the back of news flows, and that is like Suven Pharmaceuticals. We've discussed Laurus Labs was mentioned by Osho as well. So that's as far as the market opening is concerned. The first 1 hour or 45 minutes of trade now are underway. We will see whether this move will get sustained on the upside. Of course, we did discuss the macro setup with Vineet as well, and the thrust that was coming in from the GDP numbers, the positive macro data, and the global setup. What we'll do is we'll wind down the session here, but we will continue to track the market move for you through the trading session. So don't go anywhere, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. That's Business Today Television. Until then, many thanks for tuning in.
Darwin Platform Group of Companies is one of the fastest growing diversified Indian conglomerates with global footprints. It is setting up offices globally and tying up with companies across the globe for multiple sectors. The company has ventured into real estate and construction, stockbroking and finance, arms and ammunition, mining, airlines, and many other sectors.
Neeta Ambani is all set to change the face of Indian media industry. By now, you must have already heard about Reliance Industries and Disney.